Welcome to today's class. Today we're focusing on the hips and hamstrings. You don't need any equipment with you, a mat if you have one, and you're a lovely self. We're going to get started standing. So let's come to a strong Tadasana mountain pose. So toes together, slight gap between the heels. Do a little body scan. The ankles are engaged, the knees are slight micro bend in the knees so we're not hyperextending. Quads and hamstrings are a nice neutral pelvis, slight engagement in the core. We're proud in the chest, accentuating that by rolling the shoulder blades down and back the spine, arms down by the sides, palms face forward. Now while we're proud in the chest, we're humble in the head so the chin is slightly tucked. And then imagine a rope attached to the crown of your head, and so pulling up on it, and you should feel yourself grow a little bit stronger. Let's start slowing our breath here. You can close out your eyes or just soften your gaze down at the floor in front of you. Pushing your hips ever so slightly forward. Get some nice glute engagement as well. Starting to implement our ujjayi breathing. That's light restriction in the back of our throat, making our breath more wave-like. Striving to maintain that ujjayi breath throughout the class. But if our breath ever gets away from us, that's fine. Finding moments of stillness like downward facing dog, where we can start to slow the breath back down and refocus on our wave-like breath. A few more rounds here. Feel the pressure of the ground beneath your feet. Notice your clothing against your skin. Bring your hands to your hips, and we're going to heel toe the feet apart, wider than hip distance, toes slightly turned out. And from here, let's sit down into our malasana, our yogic squat. If your heels come up and you need to support yourself, that's totally fine. Ankle mobility might be an issue, and the best way to increase it is to get comfortable in positions like this where our ankles can open up. If your hands can be up, your hands can be in through heart center. And then I want you to push out on your knees as you push your knees in towards your elbows. So it's that opposing force there, bringing some strength and engagement into the hips. Staying right there. I'm just turning so that it's easier to see. But now from our malasana, we're going to release the hands down. Hinge forward as we straighten the legs as best as we can. And then lower the hips back down. Straighten on the inhale. Exhale to lower. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, lower. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, lower. Now we're going to switch it up a little bit, but we're going to stay in our malasana. From our malasana, we're going to rise up a little bit into more of a wide leg chair pose or more of a traditional squat. Hands can be in front of you to help with balance. And then straighten the legs, but keep the hinge in the hips. And then we stand up. Hinge first, legs are straight. Come into a chair-like pose or squat, and then into our deep squat. Again, squat, hinge, stand up, hinge, squat, deep squat. Squat, hinge, stand up. And now we're going to link that all together to make it a little bit more fluid. So hinge, squat, deep squat, and reverse it. Again, we're just making it a little bit more smooth. Go a little bit slower if you need to. Do whatever you want with your arms. Mine kind of move around depending on where I need the counterbalance as I move through space. Let's do one more round of this. Really warming up, lubricating through the hips, knees, and ankles. And we'll come to settle in our malasana one more time. Take a breath here. I'm just swiveling to see so that you can see a little bit better. But now we're just going to open one knee out to the side. You'll see I'm coming up on one toe. Just getting a little bit more lubricating movement through here. And then let's all come to find a downward facing dog. Pedal at the legs. Really pull the chest towards the thighs. So if you're able to, even just take a picture or record your downward facing dog. If you're really bent through the arms, what we're striving to do is open through the shoulders, get it in one straight line from the hips to the wrists. Keep pedaling it out. You can rise up on the toes, lower the heels to one side, and then the other side. And then let's find some stillness in the middle. Shorten your downward facing dog a little bit. So I'm just walking my feet in, come up high on the toes. And then we're bending through the legs, lowering the hips like we're coming into a pouncing position. Straighten, up high on the toes, lower the heels. Come up high on the toes, pounce, down dog, lower. Inhale up on the toes, exhale bend. Inhale rise, exhale lower. Inhale rise, exhale bend. Inhale rise, exhale lower. One more time, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Find some stillness. Bringing my left foot a little bit more central. Right leg comes up, three-legged dog. Open up through the hips. You can tent your right fingertips. Open up through the side body as well. And try to kick yourself in the bum. Just getting some engagement through the back line of that leg. Bring your gaze forward. Sweep that foot to the front of the mat on the outside of your right hand. So we're coming into our lizard lunge. Lower that back knee down, untuck the foot. Breathing deep. We're on the knife edge of this front foot, knees opening up to the side. You can come down to the forearms if that's what you like to do in your lizard. I'm just going to stay upright here because we haven't warmed up too much into the hips yet. From here, I'm going to tuck my back toes, lift up that back knee, bring my weight into the left arm while the right arm reaches up. I'm turning both my toes to face the side wall, in my case, the back of the room here, and then lower the hips down. Lift everything up, swivel around, heel toe this foot in a little bit if you need to as you come into Skandasana. Lower the left hand down, sweep the right around as you circle back around. And we're just flossing between these two shapes for a few rounds. Inhale, Skandasana. Exhale to rotate around. Inhale, Skandasana. Exhale, rotate around. Let's stay here. And then pushing through the feet, we're going to lift up, reach that top arm overhead, holding it. Look down at the mat. Rotate the feet back around. We're up on that back heel, coming into a pyramid pose here. Settle the heart down towards that thigh. Nice little hamstring stretch here in our pyramid pose. And then walking the hands back a little bit. I'm sliding that front foot back. And then coming into a warrior three, like L stand position. You can stay right here. I'm just going to turn so that it's easier to see what I'm doing. So from this L, I'm bringing this back leg to cross behind me onto the knife edge of the foot. Fingers are tended in front of me. I'm going to exhale to lower. Inhale to rise up. Exhale, lower. Inhale to rise up. Bringing the weight into my left hand, picking up the right arm, and I'm coming up on my right toe. Now you can stay right here if you want a little bit more. See if you can pick up that foot, Use this top arm as a counterbalance as you step your right foot behind you and then lift up the hips, the chest, or fallen triangle. Bring your gaze back down, swivel on that side foot, drag that front forward, that foot forward, and cross it back over. Come back into your L stand and lower the foot down. Staying there, I'm just rotating. Let's plant the hands, walk the feet back. Just gently coming back into our downward facing dog. Right foot is now in the middle, left leg comes up. Open up the hips, tenting through the left fingers, and then I'm just trying to kick myself in the bum. A few pulses of this. Plant that palm, look forward. Inhale, step that foot to the outside of the left hand, lower the back knee, untuck the toes. We're on the knife edge of the foot, knee falls open for lizard lunge. Steady breath in this moment of stillness. You can lower to the forearms if you please, or just stay with me here. I'm tucking the back toes, lifting the back knee, planting down, bring the weight into my right hand as the left arm reaches up. And then I'm swiveling my toes to face the side wall, and you can heel toe that foot a little bit closer in, lower the hips down. Push through the hand, circle the hand around. Skandasana. Plant the right hand, left arm circles around. Inhale, Skandasana. Exhale, rotate around. Inhale, Skandasana. Exhale, rotate around. Let's do that one more time. Staying here, pushing through the feet. We're lifting the hips now. Top arm reaches overhead. Look down at the mat, swivel on the feet, coming into our pyramid pose, up on that back heel. Sorry, up on that back toe. Let the chest melt down. Plant the palms. I'm stepping this forward foot into the middle of the mat. Back leg lifts up for our warrior three, an L stand type shape. Back leg crosses behind me. Knife edge of the foot. And then tended fingers. Exhale to lower. Inhale to lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. One more time, exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. I'm planting my right hand down. Now I'm going to stay so you can see it from this angle, see if it helps as well. So my right hand is planted down. Left foot is midline of my body. I'm coming up on the left toes. My left hand is here to help as a counterbalance. We can stay right here if we want a little bit more. Pick up this foot, reach it back behind, and then open up for a fallen triangle. Bring the gaze back down. Weight is in that hand. Just drag that back foot forward. Bring it back up. Do a couple more of these wave-like little pulses. Come back to our warrior three. Bring your right foot to meet the left. Widen the feet a little bit. And ragdoll here. Sway side to side. Let's plant the palms. If my mat was bugging anyone, I'm fixing it now. We're going to come back into our downward facing dog. Let's cross our right ankle on top of our left knee. So we're in a figure four downward facing dog. Pull your chest towards your thighs. And then from here, bring your gaze forward. Inhaling, shift into a plank. And then just lower that right knee down, coming into a pigeon pose. We want this a little bit active, so try to scissor the legs together. So left hip forward, right hip back. Make it active. Find some engagement here. Extend the arms out in front into the side of you. Let's exhale. Lower. Inhale, left. Exhale, lower. Inhale, left. Keep scissoring through the hips. So left hip forward, right hip back. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Lower onto the outside of your right hip as we swing our left leg up and around. We're coming into cow face pose. So use your hands to adjust yourself. We're trying to stack the knees on top of one another as best as we can. Heels as close towards the sides of the body as we can as well. You can hold your ankles, have your hands behind you, whatever you like with your arms. 2 rounds of breath here. Sit back on your hips a little bit, uncross your knees, but keep your ankles crossed. Plant the feet. I'm going to reach my feet a little bit in front of me, and then I'm going to rotate around to come into a downward facing dog facing the opposite way. Now with my right leg still, instead of a figure 4, I'm now going to bring it into a tree-like pose. So tree, downward facing dog. From here, we're going to vinyasa through. So let's inhale, come forward into plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Release that foot. Pedal it out if you need. And then left ankle crosses above the knee for our figure 4 downward facing dog. Let's inhale, look forward, shift into our plank, and then bring that knee in between the hands. Getting set up for pigeon. Again, let's make this active. So on this side, I'm pulling my left hip back, my right hip forward. Arms come out in front and to the side. We're going to inhale and then exhale. Lower. Inhale. Lift. Exhale. Inhale. Keep scissoring through the hips. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Lower onto the outside of this left hip. Swing the right leg around and get set up for your cow face pose on this side. You can adjust with your hands and then set up your hands however you have them on the other side. Nice tall spine. 2 rounds of breath here. Choose your dristi, or you can close out your eyes. Sitting back on the hips, uncrossing the knees, but keeping the ankles crossed, plant the feet, and then I'm rotating around to come to my downward facing dog. Left leg comes up for our down dog tree pose. Inhale, shift forward into plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Release that foot. And gently pedal it out as you walk your feet forward. With a generous bend in the knees, fold forward. And then we're coming to a seated position. We're going to finish off class with a little meditation. You can join me by sitting in lotus. If that's really uncomfortable for you, just come to a cross-legged position of your choice. Otherwise, bring one foot into your hip crease and then use your hands to bring the other leg on top. Bring that foot as close in towards that hip crease as well. Sitting up nice and tall. Tops of the hands rest on the knees. Palms face up to signify openness, receptiveness. Pointer fingers and thumbs gently touch. You can close out your eyes or settle your gaze down 2 or 3 feet in front of you. Focusing the gaze to help focus the mind. Slowing our breath. Steady inhales, steady exhales. Relax the muscles through your face. Relax the tongue away from the roof of your mouth. Slightly curl up the outer edges of your mouth so you bring an ever so slight smile onto your face. We have a tendency to take yoga pretty seriously, but it doesn't have to be. We can bring some lightness and fun into it. See if you can keep lengthening your inhales and your exhales. Focusing our mind on our breath. And when our mind inevitably wanders, just notice it when you do, and bring it back to your breath. Your mind has wandered, bring it back to your breath. Gently flutter the eyes open. We're just going to reverse whichever leg is on top or in front. Use your hands to help you get there. Sit up nice and tall, get resituated, and back to our breath. One more opportunity to bring your focus back to your breath. Training our monkey minds. And gently flutter the eyes open if they were closed. Release your lotus. I thank you so much for joining me today. If you got something, anything out of this class, I do ask that you like, comment, subscribe, or share, as that really helps me share my love and passion of yoga and movement. Otherwise, thank you yet again for joining me. Namaste.